Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a very decadent chocolate cake that you're absolutely going to love. Start off by preheating my oven at 180 degrees Celsius. Next thing, I've already prepped my baking tins with parchment paper and sprayed with cooking spray or baking spray. To a big bowl, I'm going to add in 1 cup granulated sugar. I'm not going to be sifting the sugar, along with 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a half a teaspoon of salt. You need to balance the sugar. 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon baking soda, a 1/3 cup cocoa powder. Sifting the cocoa powder into the dry ingredients is going to help you eliminate all the cocoa lumps. So you're going to have a very nice and smooth batter. Then using a whisk, I'm going to whisk in all the dry ingredients. This is going to help the cake to be very fluffy. Once done, I'm going to place my dry ingredients aside, and then I'm going to pick another empty bowl for my wet ingredients. So to my bowl, I'm going to be adding in 2 eggs, next I'm going to add in some buttermilk. So this is a cup of buttermilk, some vanilla essence. If you don't have the buttermilk, you can simply add a 1/4 cup of white vinegar to milk, and then it will curdle and form buttermilk. So I'm going to use a whisk, whisking my wet ingredients to combine. Lastly, I'm going to add in half a cup of cooking oil. Once done, I'm going to pour in my wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. Using a whisk, I'm going to whisk in until everything is combined. Lastly, I'm going to add in a half a cup of coffee. So I'm using instant coffee. So I'll add a teaspoon of coffee, and then I'm going to pour in some hot water. Pour in my coffee at this point and whisk in. Adding coffee the last minute is going to help us not cook the eggs because the water is hot. So don't add the hot coffee into the wet ingredients because it's going to cook the eggs. When the butter is mixed, don't overmix. So I'm going to pick my tins, and then I'm going to divide the butter evenly. And always make sure to add your butter halfway, not past halfway. My cakes are ready to go into the oven, so I'm going to be baking my cake for 25 to 30 minutes, or you can check by inserting a skewer, and once the skewer comes out clean, the cake is ready, but at most 30 minutes. So as I've said, this is a 6-inch pan. If you're making 1 kg, if you're using a 1 kg baking tin, you can bake for 50 minutes. My cakes are from the oven and they are ready. To check if your cake is ready, you will notice that the cake has loosened from the tin on the edges. I'm going to invert my cake in a cooling rack. Flip the next cake. Tap a few times just to loosen up the cake. And then I'm going to remove the parchment paper. The aroma from the cake is just amazing and they look so decadent. So I'm going to wait for the cakes to cool for around 20 to 30 minutes. My chocolate cakes are ready and they're already cooled. So I'm going to be making my chocolate ganache. So to a very small pot, I'm going to be adding in 1 cup of whipping cream. As my whipping cream is getting hot, I'm going to be chopping up my chocolate. This is 115 grams of dark chocolate. By chopping, it's going to be easier for the chocolate to melt. Once done, I'm going to be transferring my chocolate to a bowl. Now, I'm not going to be boiling my whipping cream. I'm just waiting until the whipping cream is almost coming to a boil. Once my whipping cream is ready, I'm going to add into the bowl. And then I'm going to leave the whipping cream to melt the chocolate for around 5 minutes. So I'm going to place this aside, and then I'm going to be working on my cakes. Over here I have a turntable, so because my cakes are not flat on top, I'm going to be trimming off the top. So using a serrated knife, I'm going to slightly move around, and then I'll make a clean cut. Place my first cake aside, and then pick my next cake and repeat the same. So I have 2 even cakes. So now I'll check on my whipping cream. I'm going to whisk in using my whisk, and then once fully combined, I'm going to keep in the refrigerator for around 2 to 3 minutes until the whipping cream is firm. Once my ganache has cooled for a bit, as you can see, it's a little bit thick. I'm going to be whipping up my whipping cream for around 2 minutes. So I'm going to use a hand mixer, whisk until soft peaks. So this is how my chocolate ganache is looking, and as you can see, it has changed color from the dark chocolate into a very light and silky frosting. So I'm going to keep this aside, and then I'm going to pick my turntable where I've placed my cake board. Place my first slice in the middle of the cake board, and then I'm going to spread in some of the chocolate ganache. Spread using my palette knife. Place the next cake on top, make sure it's well placed, and then I'm going to spread some more chocolate ganache. Spread some chocolate ganache on the sides, level up using my offset spatula, and then I'm going to refrigerate until the first layer of the chocolate ganache is firm. So this is how my cake is looking, and I love the outcome. The cake looks very fluffy, and also I added some white ganache on top, and it's looking spectacular. So I hope you are going to try out this amazing, decadent, fluffy, moist chocolate cake.